All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a question that really gets to the heart of how we think about God, forgiveness, and even the cross itself. And that question is, did Yahweh demand blood? Now, you've probably heard it a million times, right? It's practically a catchphrase, a line that gets quoted all the time from the book of Hebrews. Without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. But what if I told you that the original Hebrew texts, the very foundation of this whole idea, actually paint a very, very different picture? And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to look at the evidence from inside the Bible itself that suggests this popular view might just be based on a huge misunderstanding of what the entire sacrificial system was all about. To really get our heads around this, let's start with a new way to look at it. The popular view, the one we all know, sees sacrifice like a courtroom. God's the judge, our sin is a crime, and blood is the penalty that has to be paid. But the source material we're looking at suggests a totally different setting, an operating room. In this view, God is more like a surgeon. Sin isn't a crime, it's a dangerous contamination. And sacrifice isn't a penalty. It's a purification procedure, a deep cleaning, to make it safe for God's holy presence to actually live among his people. So to see if this whole operating room idea holds any water, we have to start where any good investigation starts, with the original language. What did that key word, atonement, actually mean to the people who first wrote it down?
The Hebrew word is kaper. Now, we usually translate it as atonement, and we fill that word with ideas of paying off a debt. But its ancient root, from a language called Akkadian, has nothing to do with payment. The original word, kupuru, means to wipe off, to burnish, or to cleanse the surface. So right from the start, the central word of the whole system is about cleaning, not about criminal justice. It's about decontamination, not paying a debt.
Okay, so with that bombshell of a clue in our back pocket, let's put on our detective hats and follow the evidence right into the book of Leviticus itself, because this is where the old courtroom theory really starts to run into trouble. And here it is, our first case-breaking piece of evidence, straight from Leviticus chapter 5. It says that for a person who's too poor to bring an animal, they can bring, get this, fine flour for a sin offering. The priest makes kapor, atonement, and the text says, and he shall be forgiven. No blood, no death, just flour. This just blows the whole penalty idea out of the water, right? I mean, think about it. If a handful of flour can get the job done, what does atonement really mean? You can't transfer your moral guilt to a bag of flour. A bag of flour can't be punished in your place. So if flour can do the same job as blood, then that job cannot be about paying a penalty. It has to be about something else entirely. Now for clue number 2, and this builds on the first one. When animal blood was used, where did it actually go? The text is super specific about this. It was put on the horns of the altar, sprinkled on the sanctuary veil, poured at the base of the altar. On the Day of Atonement, it went on the mercy seat. But here's the kicker. The blood was always, and I mean always, applied to the sacred furniture and the sacred space, but never, not once, to the person who brought the offering. The blood was cleaning the house, not the person inside it. All right, now for clue number 3, and honestly, this one is a showstopper. After the book of Numbers, chapter 15, how many times does the rest of the entire Old Testament connect this ritual of blood atonement with a person actually being made relationally right with God? The answer is 0. Zilch. Not a single time. Now, if blood sacrifice was the main way to have a relationship with God, don't you think the Psalms and the prophets would be talking about it constantly? But, crickets. The relationship was clearly based on something else. And this all leads us to the grand finale of evidence from Leviticus, the Day of Atonement. You have 2 goats, and they have 2 totally separate jobs. The blood of the first goat is used for one thing and one thing only: to purify the sacred space, to wipe clean the tabernacle from all the gunk that Israel's sin has caused over the year. It's like a cosmic disinfectant. But look at the second goat, the scapegoat. The priest confesses Israel's sins over its head, and then it's sent away alive. This is the whole point. The goat that cleans the building is killed, but the goat that actually deals with the people's sins walks away. Sin is dealt with by removal, not by a blood payment. So if this whole elaborate system wasn't about God demanding a blood payment for every little sin, then what on earth was it for? Well, to answer that, we have to zoom out from the mechanics of the tabernacle and look at the bigger cosmic story the Bible tells about Israel's place in the world. The story goes, according to Deuteronomy 32, that after the whole Tower of Babel incident, God kind of disinherited the nations, putting them under the authority of lesser spiritual beings. But then he chose one nation, Israel, to be his own special portion, his personal inheritance on earth. So you see, the sacrificial system was never a universal plan for all humanity. It was the specific, internal infrastructure for the one nation where Yahweh chose to personally come and dwell.
And this set up this huge contrast. For the nations around them, religion was transactional. You did the right rituals to keep your God happy, to manage them, but Yahweh wanted something completely different. He was after a covenant relationship, one based not on your performance, but on his own faithfulness, his hesed, and the loyal trust of his people, their emunah. He wanted their hearts, not just a checklist of rituals. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, so where does Jesus and the cross fit into all this? Does this make the cross less important? And the answer is a huge no. In fact, it actually makes the purpose of the cross clearer and way, way bigger, because it shows us exactly what the old system was never designed to do.
You see, the Levitical system had very clear limits, and that was by design. It was for unintentional sins, for when you messed up without meaning to. It had absolutely no offering for what the Bible calls high-handed sin, which is basically deliberate, defiant, in-your-face rebellion against God. It also didn't have any provision for all those other nations outside the covenant. There were these massive gaps.
And that's where the cross comes in. It isn't just a bigger and better version of the old system. No, it's doing something brand new. It provides the ultimate solution for that defiant, high-handed rebellion, the very kind of sin the old system couldn't touch, and it smashes open the doors of God's covenant family to all those nations that were on the outside. It covers the exact gaps that the old system, by its very design, was never meant to address.
So we'll end with this question. Does seeing the Old Testament system as a purification ritual for God's house make the cross seem smaller? Or does it actually reveal its true, breathtaking purpose, not just to clean a single tent in the desert, but to cleanse the entire cosmos, to defeat defiant evil once and for all, and to make the whole world the place where God can and will dwell with his people forever?